How is it going, people? Welcome to the stream. And today on the card, some good news regarding injuries and also some bad news with some injury worries, obviously. Martin Odegaard is back. Those are the good news. We're gonna talk about that in today's stream. It looks like Declan Rice is injured, and we're gonna definitely talk about that as well on the stream. Now, of course, Inter Milan preview since Arsenal playing Champions League tomorrow in 24 hours, and some transfer news, ironically enough, because as soon as Edu has resigned, all of a sudden about 50 million transfer news regarding Arsenal basically have come out, and it's basically all over the place. So we're gonna tackle all that today in today's stream. We're gonna discuss it and everything, so it should be a good one. So, of course, if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, get live interactive in the chat, and if you're watching this as a playback, of course, don't forget to leave your comment down below. And I think we're gonna kick things off with some transfer news. Actually, we're gonna talk some transfer news in that regard, so this should be a very interesting one. So Arsenal, of course, have been in this transfer rumor mill for quite some time. It has been all over the place on some level, it felt like, but at the end of the day, it looks like Arsenal actually have gone into what I want to say, have gotten some transfer news, and it's very weird ones, genuinely very weird ones. So it will be very weird because it just doesn't regard, for example, Alexander Isak. Give me a sec. It just doesn't regard Alexander Isak or someone like that. It also regards some other players going out, and that is something very weird that I didn't expect to see during this time, especially as soon as Edu is out, all of a sudden some transfer news, transfer rumors and stuff like that, all of that are starting to come out, which is hella weird, hella interesting. So we definitely are tackling that right now on this spot, and we are kicking things off with, interestingly enough, Gabriel Jesus, which I didn't expect to be in transfer rumor mill at all, to be honest, until next summer, given how Arsenal are operating and everything. But it looks like there is actually some possible things happening surrounding him. It looks like Newcastle have set their sights, according to Team Talk, on Gabriel Jesus as potential replacement for Alexander Isak. Let's be real, Arsenal need a striker. Gyökeres is one of the loudest talked ones in at least in Arsenal's fan base, let's be real. And of course, one of them as well in Arsenal's fan base that's quite a bit talked about is the other Swedish striker in Alexander Isak. Of course, Arsenal had a chance to sign Isak a season before he went to Newcastle, so kind of missed the boat on that one, of course. But there looks like Isak is kind of refusing potentially to sign actually a contract extension, given that he has doubts about the Newcastle project, because the biggest reason why he signed for Newcastle and everything, it had a very promising project, rich owners, and basically it was more or less a guaranteed Champions League after last season's Champions League and everything. The way things are panning out this season, it's not looking that bright anymore. So it looks like he has kind of stopped to potentially trying the sign for Newcastle. And of course, Arsenal have been linked with Isak as a potential signing. And on top of that, it looks like Newcastle have set their sights on Gabriel Jesus. It's been rumored that that Newcastle would expect around 100 million for Isak. Jesus' value, I would assume around 35 million. Maybe 40 if you push it. So I would say 35 million plus 60 million on top plus in cash. Let's do a swap deal. Why not? Let's ship him out and actually get a proper number 9 in the team. Because one of the biggest things that Arsenal at the moment are missing, obviously if we don't speak about sporting director, consistency, good game in attack, solid defense and stuff like that, is actually in attackers. Because we don't have a backup for Saka, we don't have backup for Odegaard, our attack is struggling as it is, and at the moment, let's be real, if you put together Sterling's and Jesus' performances, it's actually even worse than Reece Nelson, who's at the moment on loan at Fulham. So definitely that could be the case, and if they're interested, Why not do it? Why the hell not do it? Since Arsenal have been linked with Isak, and Newcastle actually would like to have Gabriel Jesus. This is actually quite interesting because, of course, according to Team Talk as well, Arsenal have identified Alexander Isak as their top transfer target, allegedly. The thing is, though, every single player, striker-wise, Arsenal have been linked with has been a top target. If you recall, it's been Lahovic. In recent, of course, last transfer window, it was Šeško. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Gyökeres was number one target. And now, all of a sudden, it's Isak who is the number one target. Newcastle would demand a fee about 100 million for the striker, of course, according to reports and rumors. And if Newcastle want Jesus, ship him Jesus at about 60 million on the top and give us Isak. Why not? It sounds like a fair deal, isn't it? If Isak doesn't want to stay, give him to us. And if Newcastle want Jesus, take him. For all I care. Take him. Take all his injuries. Take him to yourself and have a fun time. Genuinely have a fun time. No DD, no stuff like that. But just genuinely have a fun time. Because let's be real. Arsenal need a striker. Isak is one of those main options Arsenal could get. Given the header he scored against us, when Gabriel kind of lost his marker, it was a bullet header. Raya had no chance pretty much. If you put a proper cross in, if we actually could put in a proper cross, he actually would be doing quite great. And the fact that Arsenal to this day have built pretty much an NBA type of defense with 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" defenders, adding a 6'4" Isak at the top would kind of add to it, genuinely add to it. I'm not saying we are set piece FC or that guarantees us goals, but definitely it looks like something that Arteta has kind of a bit of a fetish for, having insanely tall, big defenders, and maybe do something like that in the attack as well, because we have Havertz there, and we all know Havertz is 6'3", but he's very inconsistent. Recently can't score goals properly, at least away, definitely. At home he can score goals, away not so much. So why not do it? Why not do it? 100 million about. So as I said, since Newcastle want Gabriel Jesus plus 60 million should be a good deal. Genuinely should be a good deal. Especially if you think about it, Gabriel Jesus is on 235,000 a week. Which means we would get him off our wage bill, and that actually also would be quite massive. Now, if we have a chance, let's go to Capology. Let's check how much is actually... is there Newcastle in this realm? There isn't. Let's go and check on what salary actually is Alexander Isak on, because that kind of could be indication, if Arsenal go for him, where we could be seeing our player go for. Where is Newcastle? Here we go, Newcastle. Now, come on, load. And so Jesus is on 235 grand. Isak is on 120. Sorry, here it is, the yellow. If it would load, here it is, the yellow line. I don't want to fix the screen at the moment because that would ruin again for the next screen I would show you. But Alexander Isak at the moment is on 120,000 a week, which means he gets 2 times less than actually Gabriel Jesus gets. And if we just ship him Jesus, we get Isak. Let's be real, we could... Jesus, sorry about that. Jesus is actually in 265 grand a week. So even more than 2 times. And if we manage to somehow strike a deal where he goes there, Isak comes to us, we pay Isak about 170 grand a week. If Gabriel Jesus agrees, why not? Why the hell not? The people are talking about Isak's injuries and stuff like that at times, but he actually can score. He's actually quite good finisher. He actually can finish a header. He can shoot with both feet. He has pace. He has also some skills to him. I'm not saying he's Thierry Henry, but he, for many people, reminds him of Thierry Henry. But mind you, for many people, Havertz reminds of Bergkamp. So what do we know? So at the end of the day, I genuinely would believe that is actually a great deal. Genuinely, in my opinion, that would be a very good deal for Arsenal. In other Arsenal news, Arsenal and Soba Reality Center are set to release a new documentary series on the football club very soon. Bloody hell. As if Good For Nothing documentary wasn't enough. Now we actually gonna get another documentary about Arsenal. So what is this gonna get called? Phase 6? Phase 5? Phase 99? Or we could actually get reasons why Edu left. That would be kind of nice. If Edu has left, maybe he can say something. What happened actually? Because why all this PR? Why all these kits all the time? Why all these documentaries? Halen documentary for what? You sacking about 20 youngsters in the June 30th before the transfer window opens, which you each of them could have sold for some decent money, especially like Cozier Dewberry or Konkwo, Rule Walters, players like that you actually could have sold for some decent money and rake some extra funds for transfer window in. Like, what are they gonna do with this? Like, genuinely, what are they gonna do with this? It sounds like we are just about money, PR, and let's be real, Kroenkes are all about money and PR, so that is actually nothing to be surprised about. But there are some good news regarding Martin Odegaard. First of all, first news that came out today was that Martin Odegaard has not been named in Norway's squad for the upcoming international break. Now, there were talks that Norway want to call him up. They were very excited, very hopeful that he could play for them. But apparently Arsenal actually shut them down, which is of course a great thing for Arsenal in general, that they actually have showed some cojones, that they don't put out, then they don't send him out on international break, which is great, which is maybe not so great for Norway, but definitely it is great in terms of Arsenal, because our squad, in terms of size, is already small as it is. So Odegaard coming back, whether he performs good or not, in general is overall, squad-wise, is a good thing. And of course, as they talked about today, Martin Odegaard is in full first team training. He was there this morning ahead of the game against Inter Milan tomorrow night. Arsenal captain is expected to return to the squad, and there is bigger chance than not that he's gonna play tomorrow, and 100% he's gonna play against Chelsea. Obviously, there are many fans that would not play Odegaard there, and I would kind of agree with them. I would kind of try to ease him in, but at the moment we are such shambolic in attack, so toothless, so uninspiring, so boring and useless that I don't know we can afford it. Especially against Inter Milan, especially against Chelsea. Yes, Chelsea may not have the best defenses, but they have very insane attack when they can score quite a bit of goals. And if our defense isn't on point, you better sweet cookie bet your ass that our attack should be on the point. So Odegaard most likely is going to play against Chelsea, I would assume so. It just depends how big of a role he gets tomorrow against Inter Milan. Whether he's going to start or not, because partially I kind of starting to get a feeling that he's in the same category as Bukayo Saka. If he can walk, he's going to play, because that's how Mikel Arteta treats certain players. So that already is a bit of a yikes, is a bit of a worry for me in general. But like, I don't even know what to say. Is there anything to lose? In a way, yes, he could get out for a longer time. Ankle injuries actually are very risky ones, because he could come back, he can land legitimately awkwardly in the first kick of the game, and he's out for another few months, so who knows in that regard. But overall, the fact that Odegaard is back is some good news. However, it was very, very quickly countered by some negative news. It first came out from Connor that Declan Rice is currently not training with the rest of the Arsenal squad. It doesn't mean he's injured, as he could be doing his own individual program. And obviously that kind of was a bit of a slow down role and everything like that. However, this picked up speed very, very quickly, in terms of the fact that Eduardo Hahn tweeted out a bit later on that Declan Rice is not traveling with Arsenal to squad to face Inter Milan. Obviously that means that most likely, let's be real, Partey is gonna play midfield together with Merino or Jorginho, depends to be seen. But that means Declan Rice is either injured, or that is a precaution because of due to looming injury. And of course, Fabrizio Romano topped that on for those rumors by stating that Declan Rice doesn't travel just for precaution. Not expected to suffer any serious long injury. The fact that he already is saying not expected to suffer any serious or long injury kind of indicates already that there is something going wrong. There is an injury or something. And of course, Arsenal staff don't want to take any risks, as he will be assessed for the Chelsea game. And of course, given how we are playing in Premier League, we haven't won in 3 games. We have 1 point out of 9 possible in the last 3 games. Arsenal are kind of looking like they're prioritizing that, which actually makes quite a bit of sense. Let's be real. But it's starting to come out, and it's starting to add up, surely but steadily. Because last season we didn't get any big injuries to our main guys. Yes, Partey was out for the most of the season. Martinelli had a small injury here or there, but the usual suspects usually were also injured. Because Partey wasn't there, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus and players like that. Our main guys never got injured. Odegaard was playing all the games, Saka was playing all the games, Rice was playing all the games, Saliba, Gabriel, they all were playing all the games. So it was bound to happen eventually that sooner or later it will all catch up with us. At some point, overplaying our players, running them into the ground, not giving them a proper rest and everything will start to haunt us. And this season is pretty much a prime example of that. Obviously, Odegaard's injury was you could say it's an injury that could happen to anyone, let's be real. But other injuries, Calafiori is always injured. Declan Rice all of a sudden is injured. Bukayo Saka all of a sudden is injured. Our main guys are starting slowly to get injured more often. It's kind of starting to overlap, and it feels like we're dropping like flies. I'm not saying that's the sole reason, but it's definitely the reason why. One of the reasons why. Our squad is already too thin. We don't have proper rotation, and you can see that during games there are many chances for Arteta to bring certain players on, and he just doesn't. So either he doesn't think they're good enough, which means why the hell did you sign them in the first place, like for example Raheem Sterling, or that he just doesn't trust them, and that kind of accumulates with the first point I made. So that is definitely not anything good in overall regards of Arsenal and them moving forward. Because last season, we had a 25-man squad. We decided to sell and buy this summer transfer window. We finished with net profit, and at the end of the window, we made our 25-man squad, which already was a small squad, even thinner. And now we have a 22-man squad, which means few injuries, and we don't even have a proper first-team players to fill the full bench and reserves, which means we have to use some youth there. And it is showing, because again, most of the time we are playing the same players over and over and over again, unless the situation forces Arteta's hand in terms of injuries or suspensions. That's about it. If there are no injuries or suspensions, more often than not, the same players you see on the pitch. And that is again due to lack of movement, lack of accountability in terms of the players we have signed before. Because we wasted money on players like Fabio Vieira, like Kivior, Calafiori, Merino, who doesn't look good enough. I wanted Fabian Ruiz, but it is what it is, I guess. We signed Sterling with Edu saying, wait till the end of the window, you will be excited. And it looks like at the moment the most exciting thing that has happened based on Edu's words is him resigning from Arsenal and going to manage Nottingham Forest, Olympiacos, and going to work for Miranakis, all that on Empire basically. Because how Sterling is getting us excited, a washed up Sterling who has worse performances than Reece Nelson at the moment. Might as well kept Reece Nelson and just don't sign Raheem Sterling, let's be real. Like, what are we doing here? What is Arsenal doing here? What is the ownership doing here? What is Arteta's dictatorship has done to us? Because recently it's pretty much evident that Arteta has more say than people imagine. And this is slowly starting to remind the days of Arsene Wenger, the last few twilight years of Arsene Wenger's career at Arsenal. He got more and more control, he couldn't handle it, or he just wasn't cut out for it, and it all came crashing down. And if Arteta doesn't do things right, if Arteta doesn't manage to actually fix this and take proper reins and do it the right way, it will come on crashing down again. Because either he will be forced to resign at the end of the season, because if we don't win anything, we finish third, fourth, whatever, he has to go, let's be real. Or the other thing will happen. The players will start to turn on him. Because slowly but steadily, Saka is coming into his prime, Saliba is growing and also getting slowly into his prime. And don't you think that if they have any ambition, they will want to win something not at Arsenal, but in general in their careers? They will. And at the moment, the way Arsenal are moving, it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. So Real Madrid comes in for Saliba, PSG comes in for Saliba. Definitely that could happen easily. 100%. But the fact that at the moment our thin squad with one of our best players in the team is coming back, and instantly, few minutes later, we get news that one of our arguably quote-unquote best players and the biggest signing in Arsenal's history is getting pretty much instantly injured right now. He's not traveling to Italy, he's staying in England, and with hopes that he will be available for Chelsea game, definitely is not a good thing. Big up BXN in the chat. Foden scores early. I jinxed it by talking crap about him earlier. That's the commentator's curse. I genuinely cannot express how many times I've been watching certain games. I'd said a player, for example, I like really much in real life and something, and I say he has had an awful performance. He just can't do anything right. Few seconds later, he bangs one in from 30 yards. He takes on 6 opponents, gets past them, and passes it into empty net. Millions of times that has happened to me. It's actually hell annoying. It's like you jinxed it. What's happening in Champions League, by the way? PSV won 4-0 in Girona. Dinamo Zagreb won 4-1 against Slovan Bratislava. Bologna Monaco 0-0. Leipzig Celtic 0-0. Borussia Dortmund Graz 0-0. Lille Juventus 0-0. Liverpool Bayer Leverkusen. That has to be an insane game. Same goes for Real Madrid AC Milan. And Sporting versus City game 1-0. Foden scores in the fourth minute. Now, what 11 did City put out? Luis, Akanji, Simpson, Guardiol, Ederson, Kovacic, Nunez, Savinho, Silva, Foden, and Haaland, of course, at the top. And this is the last game for Amorim, isn't it? Or the second to last game for Ruben Amorim at the wheel. Because after these games, he's going to Man United, isn't he? Yeah, it is actually kind of wild. What are your thoughts on Arsenal? Odegaard comes back, Declan Rice instantly gets injured, Edu leaving and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that? And of course, Takehiro Tomiyasu, as always, Calafiori, as always, might as well say, Kieran Tierney, as always, you might as well say, remain signed to, and all aim to return after the next international break. Ironically enough, all of them are defenders. Weird how world works, doesn't it? Weird how the world works, isn't it? Now, this is the big one. Question for you. Apparently Newcastle have set sights on Gabriel Jesus as a potential replacement if Isak was about to leave. Now, a bit later, Arsenal are willing to have identified Isak as their top target, which means it would be around 100 million according to team talk. So would you put Jesus plus 60 million to get Isak and send Jesus the other way? Would you agree to that deal? Bear in mind that Jesus is on 265,000 a week, while Isak is at 120 grand a week. Would you take that deal? 60 million plus Jesus for Isak. Because if these rumors are true, it's a win-win for both sides. Isak doesn't want to be there because the what's its face? Their rebuild is fallen flat, and obviously Jesus feels out of favor there. Would you take that deal? That is the big question right now. Yeah, last home game for Amorim. I get it. We need to... Oh, dude. I think if it doesn't happen tomorrow and on Sunday when we play Chelsea, it might get hella dusty. It might get hella dusty, to say the least. Now, with Amorim leaving, obviously Gyökeres might not stay as well. We all know that. Gyökeres is one of the top guys in Arsenal's fanbase, definitely, to become our number one striker. Now, obviously, there have been rumors as well that Man City have identified Gyökeres as a Haaland replacement if he decides to leave. They're still looking at strikers. They're now looking at the Atalanta guy who missed a penalty, those two, and everything. But apparently recently as well, this is not about City or United with Amorim there, although it's apparent that Gyökeres won't go to United, but Deco apparently has started talks to bring Victor Gyökeres to Barcelona. The striker has an agreement with Sporting to let him leave the club for 60 to 70 million euros, which is obviously next summer's alleged release clauses he has in his contract. So if that is the case, how many clubs in world football, well, I would assume European football in this instance, top 5 leagues, top clubs would go for him. 60 to 70 million, he has agreement with Sporting. How many clubs will be in for him? I would say about 5 or 6. Top clubs, and they will battle it out to try and get him. I'd take either Swedish striker. Same. Not gonna lie, same. I would take either Swedish striker. Don't care it's a Victor or it's Alexander. I would take either one. Because obviously Isak's plus side is the fact that he is Premier League proven and we know what we are getting. Gyökeres, as much as he has played in Championship, he has played for Coventry, he's putting up Haaland level numbers. Mind you, it's only Portuguese league, but he's doing also that in Champions League and stuff like that. Also, he did quite well for Coventry. That's the only thing that's against him. Besides that, they are pretty much on equal ground, more or less. The question is, either striker. Would we get even a striker? Because at the moment, for me, the biggest question is, can Arteta manage a striker? Because he had binned off the strikers we have had in Lacazette and Aubameyang, Golden Boot winning Aubameyang, by the way. He ruined them, they went away. And since then, he hasn't signed a striker. We haven't signed a striker since Aubameyang, by the way. And we haven't seen Arteta coach a striker. So this is the big issue for me. Even if we get a striker, can Arteta make him work? Because we were in yesterday's stream talking about Bukayo Saka's interview, where he was saying that Mikel Arteta demands his players, and attackers specifically, to defend at first and only then attack. So if we sign Gyökeres, or if we sign Isak, if Arteta forces him to play as a CDM, as number 6, or camp somewhere near our box, that's definitely not gonna ever work. This is the big worry for me. This is the biggest of the biggest worries, if you ask me. But I think the fact that we have spoken enough about Arsenal, about transfer opportunities and stuff like that. Jonathan David keeps track. Yeah, that's true. He keeps banging in goals for Lille as well, all over the place. Has he scored? AC Milan have scored against Real Madrid. Fiav, the center back, has scored from Pulisic's assist. Interesting. Real Madrid losing again. What kind of 11 Ancelotti did put out? Vinicius, Mbappe, Bellingham at right wing. What the hell is that? Modric, Tchouaméni, Valverde, Vasquez, Militao, Rudiger, Mendy, and Lunin. Vasquez is a shit player, I'm not gonna lie. But I guess it is what it is. Now, moving on, of course, to the game we have at hand tomorrow in Champions League. 8 p.m. kickoff against Inter Milan. One of the first news I read today about Inter Milan and everything was the fact that apparently Inzaghi is expected to rest 4 players versus Arsenal because of the Napoli game on Sunday. Of course, Napoli and Inter Milan at the moment are fighting to be at the top of the table in Serie A. Inter Milan are only 1 point behind them, and it will be a massive clash. Now, apparently, Inzaghi is willing to rest Bastoni, Barella, Thuram, and Di Marco. Arguably 4 of their best players. Genuinely. Their best center back, their best midfielder, their best attacker. On a certain level, I actually rate Thuram more than I rate Lautaro Martinez. And, of course, their best left back. That is actually wild. And that means that their most potential attacking team could be Sommer, Benjamin Pavard, De Vrij, Bisek, Dumfries, which will be definitely a very tough thing to defend and even attack. Fratesi, Hakan Kalhanoglu, incredible on free kicks. Zielinski, amazing also on free kicks with a good long shot, just like Hakan Kalhanoglu. Darmian, which is very weird. It will be 3 at the back, innit? Taremi from Porto, who they signed from free, and we all played against Porto last year, and Taremi gave us some trouble, let's be real, it wasn't that easy. And of course, Lautaro Martinez, arguably their golden boy in the team. So definitely, no matter what, even if they don't play their best 4 players, quote-unquote, arguably, in Bastoni, Barella, Thuram, and Di Marco, they still will put out a very insane squad. Which again makes me question what is gonna happen with Arsenal, because we're gonna look at it in the second, but we're gonna look at Arsenal's European game away record under Mikel Arteta. And let's be real, it's not, if you are scared of dark, if you're scared of some scary stuff, I urge you not to look when we're gonna look at those things, of course. But there's a big possibility that he won't play for all four, maybe a few, it depends. It's obviously just a rumor of those players. So Pulic is assisted of a corner for Thiev to bang in a corner. Interesting. But yeah, could be a very risky game, but Inzaghi again is prioritizing the league over Champions League. But let's be real, he actually can afford to do it. Bisek is actually a very decent center back. Yes, he has some mishaps here or there, but overall he's a very good center back. And since they're gonna try most likely and play, like I would assume, 3 at the back, with De Vrij and Pavard, it actually could work very nicely. Barella obviously in midfield will be a loss for them, but I think the midfield of Fratesi, Hakan and Zielinski, 2 box-to-box, 1 attacking midfielder, also will be a very tough game to play against. If he doesn't play Thuram and he plays Taremi and Lautaro in like 3-5-2 formation even, or 5-3-2 formation, let's be real, Thuram is a beast. I wanted him at Arsenal when his contract was running out at Borussia Mönchengladbach. I wanted him for some time, but he didn't sign, of course. And I had as much as I wanted him, I also had some reservations about him, mostly due to the fact that he was a bit raw at the time. At the moment, he looks like a world beater. Started the season also on fire. And of course, he doesn't play DeMarco, their best wingback in the team. But that doesn't mean that Darmian will be much worse. That doesn't mean that they will play a different style. They will play the same style. And I definitely expect a very hard game because genuinely, Italian teams know how to do things. Inter have the know-how of the Champions League, let's be real. They have a massive legacy in there, and their manager is a proven winner and manager who can get it over the line. Unfortunately, at the moment, Arteta is none of that. So definitely, more or less almost every single point is directing at Inter win at the moment, of course. And yeah, speaking of these records, here we are. Europa League. This is the year, 1920 season, when Mikel Arteta just took over. He took over on December 19th, or 19th, I think it was. So he basically was there for Arsenal's elimination games. And in the first round, we instantly got relegated against Olympiacos. Mind you, at Piraeus Olympiacos, we actually had a good result. We won 1-0 away, which was fan-freaking-tastic. But we managed to ball it, of course, at home. And that was in Europa League, by the way. It was 1-0 full time. It was 2, it was then 1-1, I think it was 1-1, then it was 2-1 Olympiacos at the extra time. And just before the stroke at the end of the extra time, Aubameyang missed a sitter, an empty net pretty much, and basically that saw us getting relegated and eliminated from Europa League, of course. Now, in 2021 season, if we fast forward a bit, since we won FA Cup, we again were in Europa League. We played some B-Tech teams like Rapid Vienna, Dundalk and Molde, let's be real. We got past them. In the first stage, we played against Benfica. We won 4-3 on aggregate, which again was a massive struggle. And of course, then we played against Olympiacos again and we got our revenge. Then we played against Splavia Prague, 1-1 at home, and then we destroyed them 4-0 away, which basically saw us go through. The big thing is though, in semi-finals, it meant that we gonna face Villarreal. Unai Emery, our ex-manager. First game, we lost 2-1 at what was their stadium? El Madrigal, I think it was at the time, against Yellow Submarine 2-1. And you come home at the Emirates, and you would think, that's actually a good result. We come home, 1 goal down, we definitely gonna score and everything, and it's gonna be happy-chappy pretty much. Was it? Unai Emery totally outcoached, outclassed, and outdid Mikel Arteta, getting a 0-0 draw and getting them into the final, where they actually won the Europa League final, and next year they advanced into Champions League, where they got to semi-finals. And let's be real, that Villarreal team was nothing special at the time. They had players like if I'm not mistaken, they had players like, where is the starting 11? Starting 11. Where can I see it? I need the starting 11 for Villarreal. Rulli in goal, a guy who plays at the moment at Marseille. Gaspar was playing, not Edu Gaspar, don't get your hopes up, it was different Gaspar, Mario Gaspar if I'm not mistaken. He was playing as a right back. Raul Albiol, 55 years old, was playing center back. Pau Torres, who at the moment is at Aston Villa, mind you, again under Unai Emery. They had Pedraza at left back, man. Francis Coquelin, Arsenal reject. Chukwueze, Parejo, who is about 50 again, Manu Trigueros, who doesn't play for them, Paco Alcacer, and Gerard Moreno was there as well. And they brought in as subs, by the way, Carlos Bacca, if you remember him, a legend, Alberto Moreno, Liverpool reject, Yeremy Pino, who was looking like a baller at the time, not as much anymore. Moy Gomez, who also was looking like a baller, not as much anymore. They had insane players, of course, and it was actually quite wild to see. We started in Nketiah. Look at this starting 11. Tierney, Murray, Holding, Bellerin, Leno, Partey, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Pepe, Saka, Aubameyang. Arguably, this starting 11 should be beating them. But they hold us to a 0-0 draw at the Emirates. And to make matters worse, arguably this midfield at the moment would be, you could see at Arsenal. Saka, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, Partey. You could see it today if Smith Rowe was still here. Pepe at the moment plays for Villarreal, by the way, and is balling out there. Tierney, still at Arsenal, only player since those days, since the FA Cup winning days, since that team. Murray, Holding, imagine we had centre-back partnership of Murray and Holding with Bellerin at right-back in Europa League semi-finals. How rough we had it. How rough we had it. But it doesn't change the fact that Unai Emery schooled Arteta like a little boy. No, did he? Absolutely schooled us. Full on schooled us. No, nothing more, nothing less. Obviously, next season, we didn't play in Europe. It was, we actually are skipping Europe, and there is a chance that we will focus fully on the league. So if we move on to the next season, Tierney is injured. He's not playing. Tierney is still injured, and he is expected to be back after international break. Here it is. Tomiyasu, Calafiori, and Tierney remain sidelined and all aim to return after the next international break. So they are not playing whatsoever. Now, we move on to next Europa League, and this is the big one. This is where all the madness starts. We barely get past Zurich away. That's where Marquinhos scored a goal and he cried his eyes out. And he's at Fluminense on loan now and he's coming back in January. We barely got past Bodo Glimt away. We lost to PSV Eindhoven away. And then, of course, the big one. Game against Sporting Lisbon. We drew 2-2. But the way this game was going, we should have lost about 5-2. Not to mention the fact that we scored very lucky goals in that game and we should have lost it. Then we come home and we get schooled on penalties. We got schooled on penalties quite massively. And they had Ruben Amorim as the manager at the time as well. So that definitely was a rough one for Mikel Arteta to swallow, because 2-2 away was a decent result. All we had to do is win at home, but we never got past it. And it was round of 16 once again. We fast forward 1 year to last season, and it's not looking much better. Again, away form in Europe. We lose to Lens, we beat Sevilla, let's be real, that was a easy game. We drew against Eindhoven, we lost to Porto with no shots on target. Again, 90th minute, they bang in, I think it was Pepe, or was it the other one? He bangs in a far distant shot where we actually should have lost that game 3-4-0. Evan Nilsson missed in front of the net. They hit the post multiple times. Let's be real, we had no business in getting past Porto in the first place. We just got lucky, massively lucky, and again it was against the Portuguese side. And then we win 4-2 on penalties. Then we go up and play against Bayern Munich. 2-2 at home, we were 1-0 up, we had chances, we didn't put them to test. We go to Allianz Arena, we concede to Kimmich's goal, and then panic sets in for Mikel Arteta. He does what he did against Bournemouth, where he throws every single attacker on the pitch and hopes for the best outcome. And to add insult to the injury, he subs on Eddie Nketiah to score the tying goal against Bayern Munich. What Eddie Nketiah can do against anyone? He's at the moment 007 in Crystal Palace. What can he do against them then? Let's be real. And again, this is all away games alone. This is all just away games where we tend to struggle and it carries over most of the time. And now we fast forward to this season where already we suck, let's be real. But in Europe, we drew against Atalanta. Toothless, pathetic and embarrassing game. We should have lost that game. If Raya doesn't pull off that 7-7, they had some more chances. We never looked like scoring. We never made any chances, decent ones to score, let's be real. Now we have 2 home games, where we win against PSG, arguably our best game of the season. Then we beat Shakhtar. We didn't even beat Shakhtar. We barely scraped past Donetsk Shakhtar, let's be real. One lucky goal that hits the post, goalkeeper on the back, and basically trickles over the line. Besides that, we never had a decent, dangerous shot. We had some moments, but it didn't result in a shot on target. We actually didn't create anything pretty much. And now we are planning to play Inter Milan away. One of the best teams in Europe and one of the worst teams to play at San Siro, because they will be relentless and they will be very, very tough to stop. Even without Bastoni, Thuram, players like that, it will be hell on earth. And at the moment, Arsenal in Premier League, out of the last 3 games, have taken only 1 point out of 9 available. And this already is looking hella tough, if you ask me. Next one is Chelsea away, a team that is above us. Then we play Forest at home, a team that is at the moment above us, by the way. And who knows, if we lose to Chelsea, there's a chance that United could get ahead of us as well, if everything falls in line for them. So we are looking a very rough season and a very, very painful conclusions if all this comes to tuition. Let's not beat around the bush here. Real Madrid, Lille scored against Juventus. Who scored for Lille? Jonathan David should have known. Zagrova assist. RB Leipzig scored against Celtic. Baumgartner scored from Campbell's assist. Real Madrid, Vini scored, I heard. Yes, a penalty. Of course Real Madrid gets a penalty. Besides that, nothing massive on that regard is happening, of course. But again, the biggest news of the day is that Declan Rice is injured. It's not as much as Odegaard is back, because we expected him to be back very soon, either just before the international break or straight after international break. It's the fact that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Declan Rice is not training, he is not traveling with the team, and as Fabrizio Romano is reporting, not expected to suffer any serious long injury, which the fact that he instantly indicates that it's an injury on any level is worrying. Let's be real, it already is worrying and it's already hella scary to me, if you ask me. And it's not in the terms that Arsenal are scary, scintillating and dangerous. The Arsenal are toothless, slow and shambolic at the moment. And the fact that we're losing one of the guys as one is coming back is definitely not a good result. Jonathan David scores beauty. He scored a beauty against Juve. Good for him. Good for him. His contract is running out, by the way. At the end of the season, apparently he's gonna be a free agent. Would you take Jonathan David at Arsenal as a backup, given that we sign a proper striker as well? Let's just say we sign Jonathan David and Isak or Gyökeres, one of the two, and Jonathan David on a free. Would you be satisfied with those attacking options at Arsenal, given that also Isak can play left wing? So technically we have a cover in that regard as well. Would you be happy if Arsenal signed Jonathan David on a free and Gyökeres or Isak in the next window? Exactly, I would be as well. The issue with this is, though, we don't have the luxury to wait till next summer. We need players, we need improvements, and we need a new spark in the team right now. Who knows what's gonna happen, obviously, in a month, 2 months when January window starts. But Arsenal doesn't ever pretty much go big in January. And I'm already reading some reports that City wants to sign the guy from Atalanta, the young striker from Atalanta, Retegui, what his name was, and they want to sign Zubimendi in summer as well. In January, sorry, not summer, in January as well. So they instantly have identified they need a striker backup for Haaland. That's done, and they need a Rodri replacement because Rodri is out for another year, a year pretty much. Which means they instantly identified an issue and they instantly are fixing it. What Liverpool is gonna do, let's be real, nobody knows. But the way they are being run by their owners, they usually do the best business in January. Their best players they have signed most of the time is in January, not in summer. So this will be very interesting to see what they do, especially under Arne Slot, and the fact that in this summer they did nothing. The question now for me as an Arsenal fan is, what the hell is Arsenal gonna do this summer transfer window? Well, not summer, January transfer window. What the hell is Arsenal gonna do? This is the first window in ages we have finished with net profit, ever, pretty much. And we pretty much haven't signed almost anyone. We haven't addressed any of the glaring issues in the team. And we are looking worse than last year. Last year we were celebrating well, not we, but big part of Arsenal's fan base, not I wasn't, but the others were celebrating the record-breaking goal-scoring season, best defense in the league. In summer we signed Calafiori for some weird goddamn reason, and there are people who say, oh, we're gonna break Chelsea's defensive record and all that crap. Kai Havertz is gonna score 20 plus goals in Premier League and stuff like that. Really? We are 10 games in. We have already lost 2 games. We have drawn 3. We have already did half of the damage we did in 10 games that we did over the last season. Because we finished last season with 5 draws, 5 losses, and 28 wins. This season, in 10 games, we already have 3 draws and 2 losses. We already have that. We are barely a quarter into the season, and we have already done half of the damage we did last year. And let's be real, in Premier League, especially when you're going against City, now at the moment at least Liverpool as well, who knows whether they're gonna get hit by injuries, will they run out of steam, will they get figured out, who knows. But against these top teams who have been there, who have done that, who have leadership, quality, they have the know-how, errors are pretty much not acceptable. Nobody accepts these errors. There's no room for errors. The margins are thinner than thinnest thing on earth. Let's be real. So at the moment, at the end of the day, there's a big possibility that Arsenal will lucky if they get top 4 if this keeps up. We should be getting top 4 at worst. But again, if we get top 4, Arne Slot with Liverpool in his first season with no signings in summer finishes above us, and City wins the league, it's done. Arteta must go. Because Arne Slot in one season pretty much proves that all these phases have been a joke. Because at the moment, the board has an excuse. Oh, Edu left. We need to start rebuild again. And basically, as I said before, this is the same thing that happened under Arsene Wenger. He got the reins of the whole club. He got the key of the whole club. Arsene Wenger at least had the stature. He had merits. Arteta has fuck all. He's won nothing. One FA Cup? That isn't even his own players. Only player that is there from the final of the game is Kieran Tierney, and he's injured, and Arteta refuses to play him because he doesn't invert. Saka was holding the bench. Martinelli was injured, so they don't count. He has binned everyone, then spent nearly like 700 plus million on signing players. Together with Edu, they both have wasted money. Left, right, center, east, west, north, northwest, northeast, wherever you want to look, they have wasted money. And if you kind of sit back, you look at the signings they have made over this process, over the 37 signings they have made over these 4-5 years. If you accumulate all these signings together, the ones that we have wasted money on, it comes on together around 350 to 400 million, which is half of the money that Kroenke gave these two lot to basically bring Arsenal back. And where we have been brought back to where we were under Arsene Wenger. Top 4 battle. That's it at the moment. And it has no indication that it will get better. Last year we had Dubai break. This year we have none of that. So what's going to happen with Arsenal? We're going to capitulate like no tomorrow? Because currently we have won. Our last win was 4 games ago in Premier League. If we look at Arsenal's results, right? Arsenal's results. Do you think we can get Jonathan David for good value in January? Could we get him for a cut price deal? Is it even possible? If we look at Arsenal's results, right? If we look at Arsenal's results, sorry it's not centered, it's kind of doing my head in, but I will try to fix it this a tiny bit, but it's not gonna be great as well. Let's be real. Let's do it like this, and then we're gonna do it like this. Looks better, right? Right. So let's look at this. We lost to Newcastle. We Preston doesn't count. We drew against Liverpool. We lost to Bournemouth. The last win was at home, 3-1 against Southampton. Now, if we look at Arsenal, and this is not only solely under Arteta, it was something similar under Arsene Wenger as well. The way we play games and the way these games are as outcomes. We tend to lose games in clusters. Like, let's just look at 2021 season, the first season we finished 8th, right? As you can see, we lost 2, draw 1. Then we win 1, then we again lose 2, draw 2, and it goes on and on and on. We tend to lose these games in clusters. We don't spread them around, so it happens here or there, but it happens on consistent basis. See, we lose 2, then we lose 3, we win 1, we lose 1 again, then we win 6, then we draw 2, lost 2, then again we win 5, then we lose 2, and everything. And it happens right here when we should have finished 5th, we basically balled the league in the end. Now, if we look at things recently, 2 seasons ago, free-flowing attacking football, again, same thing. We lose 2 games, then we win 2, we lose and draw 3, by the way, and it again happens in clusters. Then we go on a somewhat decent run, we lose 3, draw 1, then again, decent run, again, we lose, decent run, we lose and draw, decent run, we lose, and obviously that was the end of the season. Again, clusters of screwing up. And in last season, despite the incredible defense and all that crap the PR pushed on us, once again we lose to, well, that's Champions League, that doesn't count. Let's look at this. December we went 1-7 here, 1-7, loss, draw, win, draw, loss, loss, loss. We went 1-7 again. We lose and drop points in massive clusters. Then we lose 2, we draw, we lose, and again we lose points at every single season when we go on a massive cluster, losing, drawing spells. Usually it's 5 to 7 games, and at the moment we are already 3 games in. 3 games in, 2 losses and a draw. 2 draws and a loss. Yeah, no, 2 losses and a draw, which means either we are hitting that or what is happening, because this season the performance is actually are 100 times worse than it has ever been. Last game against against Newcastle was the worst game this season, and one of the worst games I have seen under Mikel Arteta since the last 3-4 years. In the last 3 years, when we have finished second twice, this arguably was one of the worst games I have seen. Genuinely. And at the moment, the only way we can snap out of this is if Mikel Arteta actually stops being stubborn and narcissistic about himself, thinks he's the main guy, his way or the highway, and actually changes things in himself. Change tactics. Change situations. Rotate some players, maybe make some formation changes. Do something that you haven't done before. Try it. Because at the moment, we are doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. It was Einstein who said that trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is a sign of insanity. There might be good insanity, but for Arsenal with Mikel Arteta at the moment, it's all bad insanity basically. Exactly, we messed up out of it this week. Exactly. And we need to beat Inter, and we need to beat Chelsea as well. But currently, the way we are playing, the things we have seen on the pitch over the last 2-3 weeks, I don't have any belief that we'll do so. I genuinely don't. Because they have shown nothing that would suggest otherwise. One shot on target against Newcastle. In 2 years at St. James Park, we have had one shot on target. In 2 years. Against Bournemouth as well. How many shots on target did we have against Bournemouth? 2? 1 as well. 1 shot on target, 6 shots. We had a red card. Okay, cool. But we are at a stage, if this is the infamous Phase 5, incredible Phase 5, and stuff like that, we should be beating Bournemouth even with 10 men. Let's be real. There are no excuses. And at the moment we are playing Inter tomorrow. There should not be any excuses as well. Let's be real. Because we have every single player back, including Odegaard. Yes, he just has come back from injury, but he's back. And now Declan Rice is out. But there is no excuse for Mikel Arteta to play Thomas Partey at right back again. No excuse. Legitimately no excuse. There's no excuse not to play Saka, not to play Martinelli, not to play certain guys, but there is no excuse as well not to get results now. Because at the moment, we have no way back pretty much. Our backs pretty much are nearly against the wall. And if we don't change our fortunes, performances, outputs and everything, we are done and dusted. I personally believe we are done and dusted. I would love for Arteta to prove me wrong with the team, but currently I just don't see it. Unfortunately, I just do not see it. The way we've been performing and the way things are happening at Arsenal. It took Kivior to give Kai some service. I'd play him and rest Gabriel for Chelsea. The thing is though, you would play Kivior to give some service for Kai Havertz, right? 2 things. First of all, it was Preston, but let's ignore as much that. It was Preston. They did not pose any threat in attack. They did nothing against us in the attack. Tomorrow we play against Inter Milan, against Hakan Calhanoglu, Fratesi, Zielinski, Lautaro Martinez, Mkhitaryan, not to mention overlapping runs from Dumfries, for example. We will have more pressure on defense than we will in the attack, because based on the game we had against Atalanta, the way they were playing and the way they smothered us, it's not looking good. Based on our past experiences, away games in teams like Sporting, Porto, and now as well, of course, Bayern Munich and Atalanta, it's not looking great. It's more scary than anything at the moment. That's the thing. For me personally, I am predicting that Arsenal will draw against Inter Milan. I think it will be a 1-1 draw, despite the fact that we cannot score goals. It feels that way at least. Given that we barely scored against Shakhtar, which basically took us to have a lucky bounce to basically even get the win. Because if we don't get that bounce, it's a 0-0 draw. Let's be real. And then it would be a complete different story. Because then we lose to Bournemouth, due to Shakhtar, due to Liverpool, and we lose to Newcastle. It will be a whole different picture. It will be even worse than it is right now. I'm going for 1-1 draw Arsenal versus Inter Milan versus Arsenal. I strongly believe that Lautaro Martinez or Mehdi Taremi will score a goal tomorrow. And Arsenal at some point will get one lucky shot that will go in. That for me is the prediction for tomorrow's game. As for starting 11 for tomorrow, this is my prediction. We have to start David Raya, Ben White right back, Gabriel Magalhaes, blah blah blah, and at left back there is no other reason not to play Timber. He had the worst game I have seen Timber in Arsenal shirt against Newcastle, let's be real, but he has to start. We have no better options. Midfield is gonna consist from Thomas Partey, let's be real, there's no argument about that. We gonna play him together with I think we're gonna play this kind of midfield, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this midfield tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this midfield tomorrow. And in the attack, Havertz up top, Martinelli on the left, and Bukayo Saka from the right. This would be my starting 11, and I'm going for 1-1 Inter Milan versus Arsenal. The big question of all of this is, though, what is going to happen with Martin Odegaard? Will Arteta start him? Will he come off the bench? Or what is going to happen? Because we all know that Mikel Arteta has the tendency to overplay players, to rush them back at times, and to basically give them what he wants, and what would basically force some things on them. So that at the moment is the big question, what's gonna happen there. Now, while we go through things, let's check this. Is there any news? Vanieri, Skelly with Arsenal. Mailsport understands that Arsenal made a counter offer to Edu, believed to be comparable with a deal made by Evangelos Marinakis to head up his football portfolio. However, Edu is determined to take his first steps into the world of multi-club football. So basically, he wants to manage Nottingham Forest, Rio Ave, and of course, Marinakis' main product, Olympiacos. And if he screws that up, he's gonna get pushed out of there quicker than a cork leaving a champagne bottle, basically. Let's get it straight. But I think there's more to that than meets the eye still. I still think that if Arsenal basically gave him the same match, if Arsenal gave him the same money, right, which to be comparable with the deal made by Evangelos, I think it's not just the ambition that he wanted to be a CEO at Arsenal and he just saw that Tim Lewis, Garlic, and Demman were up there with no chances of getting in there. But I also believe that he got sick of Mikel Arteta to some extent. Because there was a hierarchy power struggle during the summer transfer window. Because they didn't want to sign Merino, they didn't want to sign Calafiori. And I strongly believe that and Arteta basically forced everyone's hand because he wanted them. Which means that either Garlic, Tim Lewis, or Edu didn't want them. And I think Edu was the one that didn't want them. I know it's a conspiracy theory, it's a speculation and all that crap, but if Arsenal matched this money per money type of deal, there's something is just not adding up. Let's get it straight, of course. Odegaard is back, that is great, so nothing new in that regard for Arsenal, of course. Now, let's see what you're saying in the chat. The German is having a great game for Celtic. New star unlocked. Really? Now, Celtic 2-1 against Leipzig. Ooh, he's doing great. It looks like Celtic at home definitely are forced to reckon with. AC Milan are 2-1 back up. Morata scored. Why we couldn't sign Alvaro Morata? Huh? 10 million for Arsenal at striker. Why not? Sporting have scored. Gyökeres? Victor Gyökeres, of course. Who else if not Victor Gyökeres, who makes it 1-1 for Sporting against AC Milan. And otherwise, that is actually quite it for the news on Champions League. Those were my thoughts on Arsenal's latest rumors. An AC Milan game. Apparently, Inzaghi is resting some players. Arteta will maybe start Odegaard, who knows. But that was my starting 11 for the game. That is my predicted starting 11 for the game. I kind of can see it happening. Let me know what you think down in comments below. Let me know down in the comments below, know the score, your predictions. And everything. I'm gonna try and answer and discuss this in the comments, of course. Have a great evening. Enjoy football. See you all tomorrow. No, you won't see me tomorrow. Tomorrow Arsenal play, so you're gonna see me in 2 days. You're gonna see me on Thursday. Very sorry, I'm not gonna stream then tomorrow. Might make a video only. But yeah, for today, that will be it from me. So take care, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and see you all very, very soon. Wait, never understood when people said there's a striker shortage when there isn't. There are strikers everywhere. It's just a matter of the fact that people like to pick and choose when certain things fit their narratives. And as soon as there's a player which doesn't fit their narrative, there is a shortage of strikers. Because personally, I wouldn't mind spending 45-50 million euros to sign Morata and Dovbyk. I personally wouldn't mind spending 15 million to get Alvaro Morata as a backup striker at Arsenal. I personally wouldn't mind that. Because you may laugh at him, you may say he's a donkey and everything, but proven winner, clutch goal scorer, and has won multiple things which Arsenal have never can dream of winning at the moment. Let's say it pound per pound as it is. People just say if there's a yes, there is shortage in certain positions. Definitely, but it's maybe not as bad as people make it out to be. It's just the fact that people just doesn't like a player. They think they won't fit the system. They don't fit their narrative or something. But I guess that is what every other person expects and thinks. I guess it is what it is. It's up to people. But yeah, big up BX Gunner in the chat. Big up everyone who is watching, who commented, who liked. Leave down your thoughts down in comments below. This is my predicted starting 11 for tomorrow. I'm going 1-1 draw, Inter Milan versus Arsenal. And for today, that will be it. Stay safe, stay amazing, enjoy football, and see you all on Thursday.